I'm Keith Nesbitt, the mayor of Auburn. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. We have a lot of attributes in Auburn. We're the endurance capital of the world, but I still think one of our greatest assets is our history and our heritage. And today we're celebrating the 150th anniversary of the first train arriving in Auburn. I was just reading a little glitch. Mary Perry said it reached speeds of 20 miles an hour and the passengers were just exhilarated. It was so popular that they actually had 2 trains that first day, I believe. And so today we're trying to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the railroad in Auburn. And I have a proclamation that I want to give to Mr. Phil Sexton, and he's with the California Railroad Museum. Whereas the Central Pacific Railroad is a railroad network between California and Utah that started in Sacramento, California, to complete the western part of the first transcontinental railroad in North America, and is now part of the Union Pacific Railroad. And the Central Pacific Railroad was designed and planned by Theodore Judah and was authorized by Congress in 1862. It was financed and built through the Big Four: Sacramento businessman Leland Sanford, Collis Huntington, Charles Crocker, Mark Hopkins. And construction crews laid the first rails in October of 1863 in downtown Sacramento, long before there were airplanes flying over above. The first rails were laid in October in 1863 in downtown Sacramento at the foot of K Street at the waterfront of the Sacramento River. And on April 26, 1864, the Central Pacific opened in Roseville, 18 miles to the east, where it made a junction with California Central Railroad operating from Folsom north to Lincoln, California. And the railroad was completed to our beautiful city of Auburn in May 13th, 1865. And the Golden Spike connecting the Western Railroad to the Union Pacific Railroad at Promontory, Utah, was hammered on May 10th, 1869. From that day forward, coast-to-coast train travel in 7 days became possible, replacing months-long sea voyages and lengthy, hazardous travel by wagon trains. And today, we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Central Pacific Railroad opening for service to our great city. We also commemorate and thank the men and women, 80% who were Chinese immigrant workers who worked tirelessly to construct the leg of the first transcontinental railroad through the Sierra Nevada mountains. The construction of this railroad secured our federal government the economical, safe, and speedy transportation of mail, troops, munitions for war, and goods for our citizens. Now, therefore, I, Keith Nesbitt, Mayor of the City of Auburn, on behalf of the City Council, declare May 13th, 2015 as Central Pacific Railroad Day in the city of California. Mr. Sexton, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Mayor Nesbitt. Yes. That's really terrific. Yeah, I will say a few words on partly on behalf of myself. I'm one of the people that still benefits today from the railroad because I work in Sacramento, I live here in Auburn, and I commute down on Amtrak every morning with about 45 people from hereabouts, and then we pick up a few more in Rockland, a few more in Roseville, and by the time we get to Sacramento, there's better than 100 people who have avoided getting on the freeway every day. So that's a big plus to me. At the California Railroad Museum, we are really fortunate in that the museum literally sits just feet away from the very first rails that were laid for the Central Pacific. And as the mayor noted, they came right up through Placer County. And Placer County is very important in railroad history because it was in Dutch Flat that Theodore Judah and Doc Strong incorporated the Central Pacific Railroad right here in Placer County. It was just down track from here at Bloomer Cut that the railroad ran into its first serious engineering obstacle of blasting through that hard cemented gravel. It's actually in Placer County, right on the border with Nevada County, where the summit of the Sierra Nevada is crossed, and that was the genuine engineering achievement of the 19th century in America. What a lot of people don't know is that just a few months later, in September 1869, just 5 months after the opening of the railroad, the Suez Canal was completed, which made global travel literally logical for a lot of people. And those two things shrank our globe, and we still benefit from those things today. At the Railroad Museum, we talk a lot about the history, but also the future and technology of railroading, and we see it pass by us here in Auburn every day on the Union Pacific tracks. I'm very honored to be the person standing here on behalf of the Railroad Museum, but we feel a huge kinship and a great affection for all of the history and the people and everything that goes here. So I accept this with the grateful thanks of the California State Parks and the Railroad Museum.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Anybody else want to say anything? All right. I guess that's it.